Welcome back. You're watching India Today, and our focus is on the serial blasts that have rocked Sri Lanka just yesterday. 290 people have lost their lives, and these are the questions we're putting forth this morning. Were these suicide attacks clearly targeted at Sri Lankan churches? Is a radical Muslim group behind these attacks, considering that nobody so far has claimed responsibility? Is global jihad now casting a shadow on Sri Lanka? Why were Christians, a minority community in Sri Lanka, targeted on Easter Sunday? And finally, what lessons do these attacks hold for India? Let me take this across to Major General Ashok Mehta, who was a commander of the Indian peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka in the 1990s, also regularly writes columns on Sri Lankan affairs. Major General Mehta, considering that these attacks, 4 of them happened in churches, do you think the idea here was to create some sort of internal conflict in Sri Lanka?
Well, you know, in Sri Lanka, normally the conflict more recently has been between the majority Sinhalese community and the Muslims. And the Muslims have been targeted by a group called the Bodha Bal Sena, which is an extremist Buddhist group. And in 2015 and in 2018, they attacked. The Muslims are a very prosperous community in Sri Lanka. So there is a connection between the majority Sinhalese community attacking the Muslims. Already in Sri Lanka, there has been communal violence as a result of these serial attacks. Muslim mosque has been attacked, Muslim shops have been attacked in Colombo, that is yesterday after the attack. So in answer to that question, that why have they gone for the churches? Now that is, to my mind, it is not on the same level as Sinhalese going for the Buddhists and the Sinhalese going for the Muslims, and the Muslims now retaliating. And so there's, although the group that has carried out this that is suspected to have carried out this attack is a group called the Sri Lanka Tawhid Jamaat, whose headquarters is based in Tamil Nadu. It's a Wahhabi radical group, but it is also set up in Sri Lanka. And there was a intelligence warning on the 11th of April by the DIG police that suicide attacks would take place, and they have named somebody called Mohammed Saharan.
So considering that these were 8 blasts that took place, and it was clearly very well orchestrated, very well planned, there's questions being asked about whether this is a global jihad group that's behind this attack, and it's not really internal, it's not really regional, but a global terror group that's planned and orchestrated this attack.
Well, if you look at the modus operandi, this is the first time you've had suicide bombers. And according to one report, this fellow who went to the Grand Cinnamon Hotel, he was in the queue for breakfast and he was wearing his suicide jacket, and he just pulled the trigger. So when I met a very senior Sri Lankan military officer last year, and I asked him what was the biggest worry for Sri Lanka now that it is out of the woods as far as the 30-year war with the LTTE, because the Sri Lankans pride themselves as saying that they are the only country which has wiped out terrorism in the 21st century, which is correct. But this new threat, and what this officer told me, senior officer, he said, we are worried about the IS. IS, Islamic State. And there is a big hub of IS in Maldives. Between Maldives and Sri Lanka, there is regular traffic
so then the worry is that global terror has now cast its shadow.
The global terror, that is the IS imprint, is there. The boys who have executed these serial blasts or suicide bombs are local boys trained by the IS, because this is horrific.
Yeah.
Nobody
this
could
is,
have
this
done
is very
this.
clearly well orchestrated.
And
we are awaiting some sort of official word really from the authorities on who's really behind this attack. But it's very, very clear that this is a serious threat and possibly a global terror group that's targeted Sri Lanka, which has been terror-free really for the last 10 years. We will be focusing on the story very, very closely. Major General Mehta, thank you so much for joining us. It's a wrap on this edition of the Bulletin.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.